Hello, 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 sellers. Come on in, come on in. I'm Kathy Terrell, and I love to be selling, and I'm going to be sharing on top, and important tips for sellers attending in-person or virtual seller events. And this is from experience. This is also from talking with fellow sellers that attend events. But oftentimes I hear sellers attending events. It's like, oh, I went here and oh, I went there and oh, I, logged in and attended this. And they're really not getting anything from the event that they're going to. And I think it's because they're overlooking some things that could be done. Okay. So when you're attending an event, whether it's online or in person, again, if it's your first one, I encourage you is just go and have a great time and see what it's like. If you've never attended an online seller event or an in-person seller event, go, have a good time, and you see what it's like. It's sort of like dipping your toe in the water and seeing what it's like. And there's a lot of seller events. eBay hosts online seller events. Sometimes you'll find them locally. There's local seller meetups, and you can go onto eBay's site and you can look for local seller meetups. There's meetups in New England. I host one in New York. There's meetups in Pennsylvania. There's actually some in Florida. I'm actually going down to one in Florida. But in Florida, you've got them in Tampa. You've got them in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Orlando, Chicago, Phoenix. There's a new one in the, see if I'm remembering this correctly, the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. Also Michigan. So really, a lot of seller meetings sprouting up. So the first thing I want to encourage you. So the first one is really just go, have a good time, dip your toe in the water and sort of see what's going on. But once you've done that, or perhaps even the first time you go, if you're a purposeful person, is first, check the topic. What is the topic for the meeting? And when I'm encouraging you, because you might be going, well, Kathy, that's great, but I'm not in New York and I'm not in New England and I'm not in any of those areas that you mentioned in Florida. I'm not in any of those areas, but I'd really love to go to an in-person seller event. This is my thought for you, because this is what I did here in the New York area when I was first starting to sell, and I still do, is look for business meetings. Oftentimes real estate groups or real estate companies will have meetings geared towards realtors. Look for online seller meetings. So it may not just be eBay, it may be other sites like Poshmark, Amazon, Walmart. It could be small business meetings, like there could be a town council or a city council, or it could be an association of businesses, like a business bureau kind of thing. And look at the topics. I went to a bunch of small business, and I still do. There's actually a small business meeting here in New York that I'm going to at the end of June, which is really good. However, it's geared to brick and mortar sellers. So there's a lot of things about, in-person things and interacting with physical customers, physical displays. But within that, so let's say the topic is, merchandising, or the topic is customer service, I can still learn a lot. So yes, it might be about a physical display. So let's say the topic's about, building a window display or greeting customers. So then what I do is I go to the event. I know what the topic is. It's going to be window displays. And I listen for what I can do as an eBay seller. So if it's information about merchandising, displays, attracting customers' eyes, how can I use that? I mean, you tell me. What I'll tell you is in my listing. It might give me ideas about my photographs. It might give me ideas about my titles. It might give me ideas about my social media. If you have an eBay store, great ideas for the header section we have on our eBay store page, the marketing banners that we have now for our eBay store page. So look for meetings. And again, if it's an eBay seller meeting, great. If it's an online seller meeting, great. But also small business meetings, brick and mortar retailer meetings, merchandising meetings can be really, really helpful. Obviously, they're not going to teach me like how to create a great eBay listing. They're not going to teach me about how to run promoted listings. But for instance, if it's an advertising webinar, let's say it's for Amazon advertising, I bet you anything that there's information in there geared to Amazon sellers, or perhaps somebody with a Shopify store or Walmart, that I can use, one, for my social media, or two, I can use it with my promoted listings. It's a more intermediate, advanced strategy, but I know more intermediate and advanced sellers do listen to me. So that's why I'm throwing it out there. It's sort of like think outside the box. So yes, go to seller events that are specifically for eBay. But if for some reason in your area there aren't any available, or it's not at a time that's good for you, look for real estate, brick and mortar, small business, business associations, okay? Look at the topic. Is it something that's going to be helpful for you for eBay? Like if it's one about shipping, that might be really good. Like if it's UPS, like let's say UPS is sponsoring it or FedEx is sponsoring it. This could be really interesting just to learn things about the logistics and things that they deal with. And again, if it's something that's interesting to you. So what is the topic is my first tip. And this is true whether it's in person or virtual, because there's only so many hours in the day, right? What is the topic? 2, who is the speaker or speakers? And when you see their name, and typically they'll have a bio or something about the speakers, I immediately go on the internet. Go on the internet and search the speaker. Do they have a blog? Do they have a website? Do they have any kind of posts? They might have a YouTube channel. They might have a podcast. If they do, go and listen to them. Is this my kind of person? Is this somebody where I like their style? I like their content. Okay, so what is the topic? Look at the speakers, search the speakers on the internet, and learn a little bit about the speaker. Seeing the topic, seeing the speakers, going, yes, this is a topic I'm interested in. Let's say it's about Facebook for online sellers. Yes, speaker. Speaker has a lot of great background on social media, and they speak at conferences. And let's say they have a podcast. I listen to the podcast. I go, I love this person. I definitely want to attend this webinar or this in-person event. Then the next thing is you write down questions. What would I want to ask this person? And realize that when you're attending, there's going to be, 50 people there, 100 people there. There's going to be a lot of other people there. So maybe write 1 or 2 questions and put them in order of importance, so that if you're able to ask a question or post a question, if it's an online event, is what's your most burning question that you really want to ask this person? Write it out, be as specific as possible, and you don't want it to be too long. Something that reads like a novel is going to be hard to get an answer. So again, like 1 or 2 sentences, and be specific and put them in priority. When you're attending the event, and this is for in-person and online. Now I take notes. I'm a paper and pen person. I've got my notebook right here to my left. I take notes. And this is whether it's in person or whether it's virtual. The other thing I like to do, and I've got my phone right here, is when it's something where I go, oh, that's fabulous, or oh, I want to remember that, or they give out contact information, or they give out websites to look at, or anything like that where I go, I'm writing it, but I really, really, really want to remember it. I take pictures. I use my phone. So I'll take pictures of the slide, the information, whatever's going on. Typically in person, they'll have information up on a screen. So I'll take a picture of the screen. But take pictures with your phone. It's super helpful to jog your memory and remind you of the content. Okay. In person. So for in-person events, and this can be true for online too, but particularly for in-person, I like to get there early. And the reason for that, one, is to check in if there's any kind of check-in and name tags and show my registration, because that can take like 5 minutes. It also helps the person running the events that everybody's not coming in like right as it's starting or 5 minutes after it's starting. So I can check in and also see the room layout. Where am I going to want to sit? Like some people love to be close, so they can really read the screen. Other people, they're like, no, I don't want to be that close. I want to be further back. So it gives you a chance to sort of look at the room, see the layout. Okay. So get there early. Same thing for the online events. Why? So you can settle in. sort of see the lay of the land, like is there a Q&A, is there a chat? You get an idea of what the layout of the event is, okay? Bring business cards for the in-person event. And paper cards are still very much in vogue and people use them. It's also great to go online, and there's several places you can go. I use Blink, and you can create a virtual business card because some people don't like to take paper cards. They prefer a virtual card, and literally it just creates it virtually again on your phone, which of course you're bringing with you. And you'll have it right there on the phone. It has a QR code, and they can scan it, and all your information's there. In-person events also, like I'm going to a small business conference at the end of June, I will have a tag around my neck. The eBay events, the in-person events were the same way. And it has a QR code on the name tag. So when I'm meeting people, I'm meeting vendors, I'm meeting speakers, they will ask to scan your name tag. And that's because the QR code has your information. And you'll say yes, you'll say no. And that way they have a record of your information. And then you ask them for a business card, or if they have something that you can scan to get their contact information. But you want to do that if there's a service that you like. I remember being at a small business event and there was an office supplies vendor that I wanted to stay in contact with. So again, scanning to get their information, they scanned and asked for my information. Okay, so you want to do that. Regardless of in-person or online, but particularly for in-person, even if it's an event I've been to before, like this small business event I'm going to at the end of June in New York, I have been to this event before. It's a great event. And I've been to, I think, like 3 times now. But again, it's a little different every time. So when I go to in-person events, even if I've been there before, I take a water bottle. So I take my wonderful water bottle so I can stay hydrated. And I take a light sweater, because you never know what the air conditioning is going to be like. If it's real warm, that's fine. Take my sweater, throw it in my shoulder bag, and I also bring a shoulder bag. So shoulder bag, water, notebook, pen, business cards, and then I've got my water bottle. Again, if you want to carry, sure. There we go. And it's really good to bring a sweater just in case you get cold, a light jacket, something like that. Okay, so there's so much learning that can be done, both virtual and in person. So you want to search out the topic, check out the speakers, make sure you've got things with you to keep you comfortable, like sweater, water. Look at the topics. This is so important because I'll see people arriving in online events or in-person events, and they're like a deer in a headlights. They don't know where to go, what to focus on. And scanning the event in advance will really help you. Speakers, topics, and write down a question or two. If you're really there just to absorb, that's great. But if you see a speaker on a topic you're really interested in, like the one I went to on Facebook, like when I was meeting the office supplier, is write down questions. So when you get a chance, you're able to ask them, you're ready to go, okay? It will really help you to maximize the results you're going to get. For instance, on June 14th, and I'm going to say this is June 12th, I'm going to be down in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, for the South Florida meetup. And people attending include Will from Worth Point's going to be there. So I actually used Worth Point the other day, and I was noticing some things. Is write down some questions to ask Will. The government relations team is going to stream in. Is there anything going on locally, as far as any kind of government legislation or statewide or federal that I would want to ask them? Adam Ireland, the VP and GM of eBay Americas, is going to be streaming with the group. Is there anything I'd want to ask Adam about eBay.com, any programs that I see on eBay, something that I would want to ask Adam, okay? Brian Burke, eBay Community, is going to be there. Is there anything I've seen from the community boards or just general things for eBay Community, questions that I would have for Brian? And then Vendu, which is a wonderful, wonderful cross-posting app where I can take my eBay listings or my Poshmark listings and push them out to a bunch of different platforms. Vendu is going to be there, which is Josh and Thomas. So do I have questions about selling on other platforms, listing on other platforms? Perhaps I use Vendu. I do. Do I have questions about things I might have run into with it or tips they have? Again, I'm going to write all that down. So that's how I attend events. Who's speaking? What topics are they speaking on? And then questions I would have. So I can really maximize what I'm getting out of the event. And then also, if there's multiple events, like here in New York, there's a lot, is to really look at the topics and the speakers to know what is going to be right for me. Something might be a great topic, but it's really not something I'm focusing on right now. So let's say I'm really focusing on social media. That's what I want to be listening to and focusing on. I could be really focusing on cross listing, listing on a bunch of different platforms. So then I'm going to look for speakers and events on that. So what are the topics? Who are the speakers? What are my questions? And then keep an eye out for events, both in person, which is always great. In-person events are wonderful, and online that are good for me to attend. And the other thing is, going into the summer, it's actually a topic that I'm going to be sharing some tips on, is things can slow down for sellers. But with that in mind, there's things you could do, one, to take advantage of the slowdown to use for different projects. And the other thing is, there are ways to keep your sales up or to increase your sales. I just bumped mine 20% with different tactics. So if you go to my website, ilovetobeselling.com, look for top 10 tips to ignite eBay summer sales. It's free. And it gives you tips for either using the time. It's like, you know what, I'm fine if things slow down a little bit, but I want help in strategizing what to do with that time. Or no, I don't want things to slow down. I want to keep my sales strong. Grab these. You will love them. People are just saying, oh, these are so wonderful. I see an increase in my sales. My sales are back up to normal. Thank you. So do grab these top 10 tips to ignite eBay summer sales. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.